Warning, the program you're about to hear may contain adult language and subject matter. It is not intended for anyone under 18 years of age and whom is not mature. All views and opinions expressed within are solely those of this program's host, co-host, and guest. They are not intended to reflect those of any other persons or organizations, past or present. All subject matter discussed is not intended to be taken seriously and is only meant for entertainment purposes only. It's the Rant. Talk, radio, movies, sports, television, religion, politics, news, life, whatever the host wants to talk about, that's what we'll talk about here on the Rant. And now here is your host, the one and only, the living legend, the very controversial, the voice of the voiceless, Big D.C.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Rant. Welcome. I am your host, the Big DC. Welcome to the Rant. It is Monday night. That's right. It is January 21st, 2012. The time is approximately 11:02 p.m. So welcome one and all. Welcome to everyone who is listening live. Welcome to everyone who will listen to the recorded version of this. Welcome to everyone who will download it. And a special welcome to everyone in the chat room. I want to say hello to Ryan Witt. So, hello, Ryan. He's in the chat room. And as always, you are free to call us on Skype at BigDC1231. Once again, on Skype, it's BigDC1231. You can also call us at the phone number, area code 414-434-0093. Once again, it's 414-434-0093. It's extension 404. That number may or may not be working, but the Skype will be. The Skype number is not open right now. It will be shortly. So this episode is entitled, it's actually entitled Pierce, Kellar, Larson Wrong On Obama. And it actually is going to talk about why Spreaker host Reverend Wayne Pierce, Brian Kellar and Nick Larson are all wrong on Obama's gun control plan. That's what this episode is actually going to be about. Now, before I go any further with that, I need to explain something to you first. I am not, nor have I ever been, nor will I ever be any kind of an Obama supporter, nor am I a Democrat, nor am I on the left or a liberal. I am none of those. Now, with that being said, neither am I a conservative, neither am I on the right. I'm not a right-wingist. I'm not a Republican either. You might say I'm an independent. Now, if I had to pick which way I lean to the most, how my views are, well, it would probably be towards the Republican side. But I'm not Democrat nor Republican. I consider myself an independent. And also, before I comment on anyone's shows, I listen to their shows. That's why I'm commenting on Pierce's and Larson's and Kellar's. I am not listening to the big boys. I don't listen to Alex Jones and all that stuff. I choose not to. I just don't care for them. Now, we also got to understand something else. We need a little history lesson here. What is the Second Amendment? The Second Amendment is actually the amendment in the Bill of Rights that guarantees us the rights to have guns in our homes. Not just guns, but the rights to bear arms, whether it be guns, knives, whatever. It is. Now, why was that put there? Well, you got to understand, in 1776, when they fought the Revolutionary War, we did not have a trained army, not like the British. I mean, come on. The Continental Army that we had was untrained. They had less than 6 months of training. And when this amendment was added, guaranteeing us the rights to bear arms, to have a militia to protect ourselves, to keep our freedoms, we just didn't have that army. So that amendment was put in there to guarantee our freedoms. Now, that's why it was there. Now, that amendment has been clarified by the United States Supreme Court. Here's the thing you got to understand. It does not, and I'm going to repeat this, it does not guarantee you the right to have assault rifles. I'm sorry, you can say it does, but it does not. It does not, in any way, shape, or form, guarantee you the right to have assault rifles. Do I believe in people having their guns? Hey, if you want a gun, more power to you. The Second Amendment guarantees you that right. But you also got to understand, it does not give you the right to keep an assault rifle of any kind. That would be like saying, well, since it says the rights to bear arms, I have the right to have a tank at my house. Or I have the right to have, a military jet, a fighter plane, or an A-1 attack helicopter. No, sorry, it doesn't. The United States Supreme Court clarified that. I believe they did it in 2009 when they gave the clarification that assault rifles are not in that, and all military rifles, weapons of war and things are not covered under the Second Amendment. And I don't care. I mean, there's people out there that's going to say, "Oh, but the Second Amendment, it was ratified." No. There is no ratification. There is no update. There is no law saying that any kind of weapon. No, sorry, there is not. There is not. You got to understand, there is a such thing called radicals or radicalism. Now, what is radicalism? Radicalism is when a group of people get together to insert their own views that are so completely out of whack that it not only will do harm to others, but it will do harm to themselves. That is radicalism. And it benefits no one. That's the basic definition of radicalism. When you intend to do harm to yourself or to others, or maybe you're not intending to, but your thinking, your ideas, and the results of those ideas. So we got to understand. Now, there is a huge difference between radical thinking and being a radical. Radical thinking is just someone who's been influenced by a true radical, and they start thinking that way. That doesn't mean that they're a radicalist. That doesn't mean they're a radicalist. Jesse Holiday, I see you calling in, buddy, but right now I'm not taking phone calls. I will take them later on in the show. So I have to decline that phone call right now. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that real quick. I see Val's in the chat room, and she says, so rifle, assault or not, is still a rifle, and it is classified as a gun. Is it is not? Okay, first of all, you have to understand that the Supreme Court has declared and defined that any assault rifle is not covered under the Second Amendment. So no, all rifles are not the same. You have to understand that flat out. And you just have to understand that right now. Now, like I said, there's a difference between radicalism and radical thinking. There's also a difference between radicalism and freedom, beliefs of freedom, and thinking out of the box. The men that fought for our country, that wrote the Declaration, that wrote the Constitution, they were not radicals. They were innovative thinkers. They thought out of the box, but they were not radicals. Their ideas, the end means of them, were not intended, nor did they harm people around them. They actually benefited the people around them. So they're not radicals. You have to know that right there. They are not radicals. Now, as I said, this show is about why Brian Kellar and Nick Larson and Wayne Pierce are wrong. Now, let me say this flat out. Out of those three men, two of those men, I respect very highly. I do. I respect two of them extremely highly. I respect Wayne Pierce and Brian Kellar very, very highly. I have the utmost respect for them. Would I call them radicals? Absolutely not. I would call Nick Larson a radical. But I would not call Brian Kellar a radical, nor would I call Wayne Pierce a radical. Now, let me play something from Brian Kellar. Brian Kellar is actually reading an article, so in his defense, this is an article that he read.
A prohibition.
A clip from it.
Didn't work for alcohol and didn't work for marijuana. How on earth will it work for guns? It won't. It will only create more violence, more gangs, more of a police state, and more profits for the prison industry. Now, the real answer to gun control is the same answer for marijuana control, alcohol, and all that. You want to take the profit out of pot dealers, legalize this stuff, regulate it, tax it, same as alcohol, monitor it, and do your best to keep it out of the hands of people who shouldn't have it.
Okay, now remember, he was reading an article there. He was reading. That sounds all pretty good, but just think about it for a minute. Now listen to Brian's view on this article for just a second. Let me get that up there for you. Here's Brian's view on this article. Interesting.
Basically, that's what this would be, right? Gun prohibition. And he made interesting points in this article. Where the hell wrote it? They tried prohibition of alcohol. We all remember that, right? The speakeasies and everything else. Didn't work. Caused a lot of crime. Caused a lot of violence, right? I remember that. Well, I wasn't there, but I remember hearing about it, reading about it, and the like. Kind of tried it with marijuana. Again, didn't work. Now, do not get me wrong in any way. Please do not get me wrong. I am not an advocate myself for marijuana. I just read the article as it was written. I'm not advocating marijuana. As a matter of fact, just the mere smell of it makes me physically sick. I'm sorry, but it does. But still, an interesting enough article. We don't want underground gun gangs. Imagine the violence that would cause, right? And imagine more billions and billions and billions of dollars that would be spent by the United States government in trying to curtail this. And guess what? Yeah, wouldn't work. Would not work at all.
So Brian's saying this wouldn't work, but what you got to understand, so we just make it all legal, and then the health care that we're going to have to pay extra for because of making all these guns legal, we're going to increase your taxes because of making this legal, because more people is going to get a hold of these type of guns. They're going to end up shooting each other. They're going to shoot themselves. Don't say they won't, because it's been proven that when there's more guns out there, more people get injured by them. The 1800s was a great example. And this is no joke. I have checked on 6 different sources on that. You want to know what they are? You go look them up yourself. You find the sources. 6 different sources proved that 4 out of every 10 people that lived in the 1800s at one point or another were shot by a gun, compared to 2 out of every 10 people since 1960. That's a fact. You want to know where I got the facts? Go look them up yourself. That's your job to find the facts, not mine. But anyways, moving right along, let's take a look at what Wayne Pierce says. Wayne Pierce here talks about how the government wants control of you. That's nonsense. But let's listen to it.
The question that I have, excuse me, the question that I have is, why is this government, why is Washington, D.C. so bent on destroying the Constitution when, in fact, the politicians in Washington, D.C. are complete hypocrites because they said they would defend the Constitution? protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. That's what they said, including the president. So why